So a few days ago, EA put out a news article which was used to give some updates on Battlefield 6, the open beta, and any planned changes and updates that they're going to make to the full edition of the game. The article's title is Community Update Open Beta Debrief. It basically goes through their takeaways and feedback that they've had from the beta and how that's going to impact the game going forward. In the notes they talk about weapons, movement, all these kind of things, so I thought I'll just make a quick video and go through the notes and see what they say. So here we are. To everyone who joined us during the Battlefield 6 open beta weekends, your passion and feedback have been invaluable. With tens of thousands connecting on Discord, over 600,000 hours streamed and 30 million watch hours, your enthusiasm and participation is what made it great. So yeah, it was extremely popular. This little graphic here's got some crazy numbers on it, so we'll just take a look. The most players in Battlefield beta history, 420 million total matches played, 92 million hours of gameplay. Yeah, it was very, very popular. I think a lot of people who play FPS games have been waiting for a good game to release that isn't either riddled with cheaters or is full of glitches and bugs. And that's one thing that I noticed when playing this beta in particular, was that it felt like a proper release. It felt like a full release of a game. I didn't encounter any glitches. I play on PC and the performance was pretty incredible really, so you couldn't really tell that it was a beta. It felt like a full game. I'll try and open this up in a new tab so that I get the full size graphic. Yeah, so 4 billion enemies killed to only 30 million revives, which is pretty nuts. And that is another thing that I noticed. There wasn't a lot of reviving going on, and I'll put my hands up, I wasn't doing much reviving myself. I did try, but I didn't run support the entire time. I didn't have the defibs handy, so I think I'll give myself a pass on that one. Now these are quite interesting because I ran Recon the most, and it's obviously the least popular class based on this data. I just enjoyed having the spawn beacon and allowing you to get close to objectives and stuff like that. I think I tried engineer. I did enjoy that because you need to be taking out tanks, and on Liberation Peak you need to be taking out the helis and stuff like that. So yeah, engineer's pretty important, and then obviously support's quite popular, and it's obviously a massive requirement, but clearly they weren't doing their job based on these numbers. Assault, to me, I don't know how this is the most popular class. Like, I tried a few games and I was just constantly running out of ammo. Literally, like, you would put 2 clips into someone or into a group of people, and then you would be switching to your pistol. Like, yeah, maybe that's just a skill issue on my part, but it seems to be the most popular class out of all 4, so whatever. Then on the right you've got, yeah, helis destroyed, jets destroyed, 337 million kills with the shotgun. Yeah, and you can see there, and it's got the asterisk, tuning in progress, and we all know, if you played the beta, you know why. Because that thing was disgusting and it was very, very broken. The defib kills is also a funny one. There was a lot of clips going around of people using the defibs and killing people. So yeah, farming clips with that is pretty fun. Right, let's go back to the main screen here. So initial learning and in-game changes. As we approach the launch of Battlefield 6 on October 10th, we'd like to take a moment to look back at the open beta, share our key learnings and in-game changes based on feedback and in-game data. They're clearly using this, which is the whole point in a beta, to get feedback, gather some data, and then make updates from there. Weapons, We're making targeted adjustments to deliver a more consistent, rewarding gunplay experience. This includes a general pass on recoil and tap fire characteristics across all weapons, further emphasising their unique feel and improving range differentiation. We are also making changes to encourage more controlled tap firing and burst firing, rewarding precision in weapons mastery. Right, okay, so recoil to me, I think the weapons definitely could use more recoil. For the most part, I was using the M4A1 and that thing was an absolute beam. It didn't move. Unless you were shooting someone extremely far away, it was still very good at those ranges, but I definitely felt like I had to use this tap fire method to actually get those kills at range. But for some reason it seems like they feel like that needs to be more, like there needs to be more emphasis on that, which I don't mind. Coming from, like, I've played Battlefield and COD is just hold down the trigger and spray. There's no method to it, whereas I quite enjoyed that it was like rewarding if you used this tap fire characteristic, so that's not really a change that I'm too bothered about. I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. Additionally, the M87A1 shotgun now requires more pellets to secure a kill. Yeah, thank God for that. We are investigating the time to kill and time to death experiences, and we will share an update if definitive changes are made. TTK was quite fast, but it's a multiplayer experience, so you would expect it to be fast. It's not like you're playing a battle royale or something. However, the time to death, that is definitely a thing that I noticed, that sometimes you would die and you would feel like it was instant and quite frustrating at times. Movement mechanics have been adjusted to create a more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed carried from a slide into a jump, has been reduced. See that this, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. There was this movement mechanic that you could do where if you were sprinting to the right or the left and you jumped and then hit slide as you were landing, you would carry on into the slide and be able to ADS, which felt like really satisfying, like jumping around a corner and sliding across in front of the person. It did give you an advantage, so I suppose I can see that if that movement looked too fast from the opponent's perspective, then yeah, I can understand why they would want to change that. But to me, that was something that felt really good when you use it yourself. There is now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps. I'm guessing that's talking about, there was these clips on if someone hit a jump and landed on like a ledge or an object, they would get like a crazy bunny hop type jump where they would be able to carry that on for like multiple jumps. And I think some of the COD movement kids were abusing that a little bit. The Battlefield community weren't too happy about it. Firing while jumping or sliding will result in increased inaccuracy. I already noticed that if you jump while you were in a gunfight, you would almost 90% of the time you would lose. So I didn't think that needed changing, but it's just going to make it feel worse. So basically after this, never jump in a gunfight or else you're going to lose, basically. These changes are designed to make sliding and jumping more situational, so they are no longer ideal options for engaging in gunfights, and will contribute to a gameplay pace that rewards skillful movement without it becoming too fast or unpredictable. So basically they're trying to tone down movement in general, this seems like, which I don't think I'm a fan of, but we'll just need to wait and see how much of a difference it is from the beta to the full release of the game. And if it's really extreme, then it's going to feel quite bad. So yeah, that might not be a good one. Parachute physics have also been retuned. I didn't really use the parachute much, but I did notice that it felt quite janky when you, like, it wasn't obvious when you could use it, or when you hit the button there was like a delay between hitting the input and then the parachute actually coming out. So yeah, it'd be good if they could make that a bit more obvious. Maps. We observed some players finding a way to reach rooftops and venture out of bounds. Yeah, definitely seen a few clips of people on the roofs in Cairo and stuff like that. And then Liberation Peak was really bad for people scaling the mountains like mountain goats and just sitting up there with snipers, and there was times where that map was basically unplayable. I think there was even some instances where they would be like hidden with, like, they'd glitched themselves into the rocks, so you couldn't even see that they were there. So yeah, that's definitely something that they need to sort out, and it looks like they're addressing that, which is good. This gameplay is not intended, and the upcoming ladder for the assault class is also not designed to access these areas. Yeah, I'm not sure what the ladder's going to be used for, or how high you're going to be able to go with that, but we'll see. I certainly won't be using it. We are actively working on adjustments to prevent unintended access and ensure gameplay stays within the intended boundaries. We also heard strong feedback from players excited by the larger scale maps that Battlefield has to offer. While the open beta featured smaller, more fast-paced maps, larger scale maps are already part of our launch package, delivering action-packed gameplay and memorable, unique moments for every player. The only big map that was in the beta was Liberation Peak, and that's like quote-unquote big map because it wasn't actually that big by Battlefield standards. So I think it would have been better if they included one of these big maps that they're talking about in the beta, and that way you had an experience of like small, medium and large. The beta was clearly targeted at players from other games and trying to appeal to like COD multiplayer players and stuff like that, try and get them interested in Battlefield. You can see why they've gone with the smaller maps in the beta. As part of the upcoming Battlefield Labs testing, we'll be testing 2 new multiplayer maps, one set in Merak Valley, the other a remake of the fan favourite from Battlefield 3, Operation Firestorm. These 2 maps include the full complement of vehicles, just like Liberation Peak, along with a more vast combat space. At launch we'll be able to jump into these and hopefully they're enjoyable. When it comes to Rush, the conversation we observed wasn't just about the player count, but also about how the maps play and the tactical experience they offer. Rush is a mode with deep roots, originally known as Gold Rush and Bad Company, where matches typically range from 12v12 to 16v16. Many of you remember this as the golden era of Rush, and it continues to inspire our approach today. So Rush, I didn't play many games of it, but the feedback that I saw online was that MCOM positions were like too close to the spawns, so you could get very easily like spawn trapped, and it was just a bit too hectic. So hopefully they fine tune that. We've experimented with larger player counts over the years, such as 64 and even 128. While these matches created intense fast-paced moments, they also led to issues. Overwhelming defences, stalled front lines and too many games ending in the first sector. Rush is especially sensitive to higher player counts due to its tactical and strategic requirements. Based on feedback throughout recent titles, we are lowering the default player count for Rush to improve the flow of combat and restore the tactical, methodical experience that defines the mode. So it seems like they're putting a lot of focus in improving this because it's clearly quite a popular game mode, and they're going to want to get this right when it comes out. In contrast, Breakthrough is designed to accommodate higher player counts of up to 64 players, and that's where the mode really shines. Using win-loss data from the open beta, we are continuing to make map-by-map balance adjustments towards our goal of 50-50 win ratio for both attackers and defenders. Okay, so that is one thing that was really obvious during the beta, was that when you played Breakthrough, I must have loaded into about 10 games of Breakthrough. I mainly play Conquest, so when I was trying it out, I must have tried about 10 games, and like at least 8 of them I was on the defending team. It was quite annoying because there was challenges associated with being the attackers. Yeah, you didn't really get a chance to complete those challenges because you were always defending, so they need to get that balance right when the game comes out. Finding the right balance is an ongoing process as everyone gets familiar with map size, lanes and combat spaces. For now, we've found that 8v8 provides a solid starting point for small scale, fast paced modes like Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, Domination and King of the Hill. I don't really have many thoughts on this section, to be honest. I wasn't really interested in playing Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, Domination or King of the Hill. King of the Hill was just like, it was like Hardpoint from Call of Duty. So if I wanted to play these games, I would just play COD. Simple as. A limited variety of playlist options were created for the open beta to both showcase and test the flexibility of the matchmaking system. Playing with both open and closed weapons will continue to be options in Battlefield 6, and we are looking for ways to keep them easily accessible. I quite liked having the open classes just because it's given you that opportunity to put whatever guns you want on your class. And I played a good mix of the open and closed, and I didn't really notice much of a difference. I feel like they've got options with where they go with that, and I think they should keep like both options in the game and let the players choose. We recognise that some players experience difficulty finding games to complete the challenge of capturing sectors and break through a rush, so yeah, that's what I just talked about. It wasn't ideal and we're actively using your feedback and in-game data to review and improve the matchmaking system with the goal of providing a smoother experience. Overall, the open beta was a success and the majority of people who played it enjoyed it, and that's reflected in the numbers on that graphic that we looked at. I think the changes that they've discussed in here, probably the biggest changes are going to be the movement changes, because they could massively affect how the game feels, and then obviously the weapon changes as well. I hope they keep the M4A1 as good as it was in the beta. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.